So B, formulating substantive audit procedures to respond, it said to the above assessed risks. So guys, it didn't say to all risks of material misstatement, to the above, which means it's all with regards to the going concern. Let's go into ISA 570 where we can see the procedures that they list that we will then just adjust to make relevant to this specific question. In ISA 570, dealing with the going concern, to my requirements, I've got additional audit procedures when events or conditions are identified. So I'm going to go straight to paragraph 16. Paragraph 16 refers me to paragraph A16, but then it does give me some additional procedures, so I need to request them to make an assessment, evaluate their future plans and their actions, where they have prepared cash flow forecasts and analysis. I'm going to have to evaluate the underlying data, get adequate support for assumptions, consider whether there are any additional facts or information that come available at a later stage, requesting management representation letters, okay, for those future plans. So guys, already I've got an idea. Here's one full procedure. In terms of when I get a cash flow, so I'm going to have to get cash flow forecasts and analysis. I've got extra points here to say I must go and evaluate the data, get adequate support. And then another mark for evaluating their future plans. Okay, so now I'm going to go to A16 for additional on top of these that I already can go and put down. Analyze and discussing cash flow, profits and other relevant forecasts. So we already had a procedure where it said you need to do a little bit of work on those cash flow forecasts. So I'm going to get the cash flow forecast and then do a little bit of work on it to make sure that it is reasonable. Analyzing and discussing the latest interim financial statements. I'm going to go and inspect the latest interim financial statements and maybe do a comparison. What the forecast had to the actual latest interim financials to see if the forecast is actually reasonable up until the date of those interim financials. Reading terms of debentures and loan agreements to see if they've breached them. Reading minutes of shareholders' meetings for financial difficulties. Inquiring with legal counsel regarding the existence of litigations and claims. Confirming the existence and legality of arrangements with regards to financial support. They had got financial support, so I need to go and confirm that with the bank. Evaluate their plans to deal with unfulfilled customer orders. Performing audit procedures regarding subsequent events to see if there's anything that's happened post-reporting date that gives me an idea on their ability to continue. Confirming the existence of their borrowings. Reviewing any reports from regulators. So is there any action being taken place? What is their support for planned disposals? And then their future actions. So if they had got any plan, then going and auditing that, looking at their plans, okay, and testing the detail of that. In addition to that, we can compare the financial information for recent prior periods with historical results and the financial information for the current period with the results achieved to date. Okay, and then any third-party evidence that we can get with regards to terms and conditions. So all of the procedures are here, guys. I just want to go into the scenario to find the specifics of who they're getting borrowings from, if they've done any specific forecasts, and if they had used any experts to help them with that, just so that I can tweak these procedures to make it relevant to the specific question. So guys, I'm just looking for any information that's going to help me to develop those substantive procedures. Okay, and obviously it's all linked to going concern, so anyway where I've made points about the going concern. So those are just some of the risks. They're negatively impacted. I can see they've got cash flow difficulties, poor working capital management. I can see that they are applying for an increase in their bank overdraft. So that's something I'm going to have to want to specifically get confirmation from the bank about as additional ways to increase their funding. And then other than that, guys, I've just got the financials that give me information with reference to just those 2 points. So I'm going to use the standard and the procedures that the standard has given me and just adjust where I can be a little bit more specific to this client. But because I don't have any information about cash flow forecasts or any information about covenants, loan covenants, or anything like that, I can't go into too much detail. So I will be just putting down the procedures from the standard. So I'm doing B, and I'm going to start with the easiest one, which is obtaining a management rep letter. With regards to the going concern. First mark. Then I'm going to follow what we saw as those procedures. So first thing is to get the cash flow forecasts or budgets. For the 2022 period. We want it to be for the foreseeable future, which is a year. Now that I've got it, I needed to analyze it. So how can I analyze it? I can go and agree the details to any supporting evidence. Because we need to make sure that the underlying data is actually accurate. I can go and recalculate any calculations to make sure that it is actually accurate. And then I can go and test that it is reasonable by going comparing to actual 2022 results to date. So doing a little bit of an analytical to make sure that what they are budgeting or forecasting makes sense compared to the actual results that are already there in 2022. Okay, you must remember that the article that we were looking at was the 17th of June, so they already will have information post year end. Okay, I need to test if the assumptions are reasonable, so I need to compare assumptions to market-related companies' assumptions. So what is the market? Go and look at other breweries' assumptions that they've used in their cash flow forecasts to make sure that it does actually appear to be reasonable. Then I can actually just go and look at last year's forecast and the actual results of this year, just to see if their ways and means with regards to doing forecasts are actually reasonable. So I can just say compare prior year cash flow forecast to the current year results to test if the methods that they use are reasonable. Okay, now I can go and inspect the minutes of directors' meetings for any cash flow difficulties. Post year end. And guys, while I'm doing that, I'm going to just go and consider if there's any subsequent events. That give evidence over the going concern. Okay, now I want to start to look at the future plans, because that was one of the procedures. We have to assess the reasonability of the future plans that they have. And one of those plans was to increase their overdraft. So I'm going to say, inquire with management about the possibility of increasing the bank overdraft. And it's at this point that I can then go and obtain confirmation. With FinBank about the possibility of increasing the bank overdraft. And what will the terms and conditions be? Over that overdraft. Because surely if they've already reached the limit, it's unlikely that they're going to be very favorable terms. As soon as I'm doing a bank confirmation, go and obtain an attorney confirmation. Regarding litigations or pending or possible litigations which could affect the going concern. Okay, one of the standard procedures there is to find out how they intend to deal with unfulfilled customer orders. We can inquire about plans to dispose of assets to increase cash flow. Is that a plan? Do they have assets that they can actually dispose of? Okay, and then just go and inspect disclosure of the going concern in the financial statements. Okay, just check that you've got enough. Definitely look like we've got enough. So I can move on to question 2.